You were talking about, independence of the judiciary in terms of money, and you believe that is one of the ways that the judiciary
certainly.
can get its own independence and really, be active and vibrant.
Undoubtedly so, but it's not only the...
I was going to ask, then where does the appointment of judges fit in this particular...
Clearly, I mean, the committee also recommended that don't subject the appointment of judges to the whims and caprices of individuals. Advertise. Consult with Nigerian Bar Association. Let qualified people apply, and they go through the process of interview by experts, so that you know whether the applicant is ready for the job or not.
Advertisement?
Oh yes, that's a recommendation.
How is that going to play out? You're going to have, is it lawyers coming out for the position?
This
is usually done amongst judges. I mean, in terms of chief judge.
There are conditions precedent anyway, and there are statutory requirements for you before you can apply to be a judge. Maybe they'll stipulate that you must have 10 years post-call experience or 15 years post-call experience. And then in doing that, you must do background check. People who are coming to the judiciary should be such that they'll be prepared to live a sober life. I mean, when we were growing up, you wouldn't go to parties and see judges. It wouldn't happen. I mean, because these are God's representatives on earth. Somebody who could say, tomorrow you are no more, by virtue of what the law says. It should be somebody that must be up and doing, that must be imbued with integrity, and must be ready to do the job. If you're a socialite and you like to party, that is not a place for you. So things have gone from bad to worse. I mean, I wonder, sometimes when we go to social parties and you see judges mingling with us, that's not right.
Are we not asking too much from our judges?
Well, it's a question of voluntary non-fit injuria. You cannot be complaining when you have, if you have consented, you want to be a judge, then you must be prepared to live lives that should be expected from a person that is a judge, because they play very crucial roles in the society. And I mean, that takes us to the saga in Ekiti.
Now, before we go to Ekiti now, let's quickly, come back to justice for the poor. It was a point you were trying to make. We did have Mr. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, on the program, who was also a delegate at the national conference. And while he was intervening recently in a matter that we were looking at reforming the judicial system and also the fate of awaiting inmates, he spoke about justice, the laws, one for the rich and one for the poor, and how certain things are supposed to have been amended. Do you agree that the laws of the land are done in such a way, or they only take effect when the rich are affected, and nobody looks at the law when it's the turn of the poor?
We have lost our values. People who ought not to be celebrated have been celebrated because they have access to obscene wealth, and that should not be so. I agree with him, absolutely, that there's this class system. When a well-connected man dips his hands into the exchequer and he can afford to pay the professional fees of senior advocates of Nigeria, the case keeps dragging over a long time. And when an unfortunate member of the Oloi Poloi is accused of stealing a goat, he goes to jail. But the conference has recommended that Public Complaints Commission, Legal Aid Council, National Human Rights Commission should be well funded so that the people on the streets, the poor, can have access to justice, similar to what is being done in Lagos State. And I must quickly say this. I mean, members of the committee were full of praises for what Lagos State has done regarding judicial reforms, in terms of emolument of judicial officers, in terms of fast-tracking the process of justice delivery. And therefore, if a state government has done that, We just enjoin others to copy. And credit must go to Professor Yemi Osinbajo. He blazed the trail, and things are working.
A lot of people will still say that, yes, Lagos has done some work in that particular area. We still know that the legal aid cannot see to all the people who need legal aid. There's still lots of people who are awaiting trial inmates. We still see on a yearly basis or on a periodic basis, the Chief Judge of Lagos State visits the prisons, and she's setting people free for offences that could have been, maybe they shouldn't have been in jail in the very first instance.
There should be a structural approach to the problem. Matters that are not supposed to drag because of the system we run. Now, it's been recommended by National Conference that you must set up courts that you would refer to as small claims courts. Somebody has been accused of having stolen. You shouldn't go through the gamut of, you don't waste time over such matters. Quickly arraign him. If he pleads guilty, you punish him instead of putting him awaiting trial for years. That's unjust, that's callous, and it's unconscionable.
The reforms that were recommended.
And by the way, I need to say that even our God does not answer all the prayers we ask from him. And therefore, we're not likely to solve all the problems that judiciary is confronted with. The starting point is that you have recommendations that have been profoundly thought out, and then over a period of time, things can begin to move. There's hope in that.
Now, I was just going to ask you quickly, the resolutions that were reached at the National Conference as per the judiciary, were they more constitutional reforms, or were they resolutions that could be put into place immedately?
Well, it's both. There are some that are merely administrative, that you don't have to wait for constitutional amendment before you can. But majorly, they are constitutional matters. But the administrative ones can be quickly dispensed. For instance, the role of technology in access to justice. Our judges still run, they still take notes in longhand. You don't have verbatim reporters in court. We must subscribe to the global best practice, what they do in other jurisdictions of the world. And I don't think these things are too expensive that we cannot afford. We have advised the government, don't wait till eternity trying to implement these solutions. The ones that are merely administrative, go in, hit the ground running, and then people will see that you have demonstrated good intention, and then you are really working. So that it will not be money wasted, public resources gone down the drain. To me, the effort is worth a while.
In your estimation, where exactly should we be starting? If we're to start with judicial reforms today, a lot of people say that the current chief judge has started, but they say that what she's put in is an individual effort. They're not sure would last if she's no longer in office.
It must be institutional. And once we make it statutory, it does not depend on whoever is occupying the office. Look, for instance, the recommendation that states you have the appellate courts, all the states in Nigeria, matters touching and concerning state matters should be terminated at the Court of Appeal, so that you don't take cases that are not necessary before the Supreme Court and thereby waste time, deny people justice.